Let's get into the headlines in Nigeria now, see what the papers are this morning. I have with me in the studio journalist Dario Dufowokon and public affairs analyst Razak Olokoba. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Merry Christmas to our people.
Exactly. Now, all the Father Christmases, we understand every city now has a Father Christmas.
Well, it's not just about Santa Claus. No?
It's okay.
It's about Father Christmas.
Exactly, and generosity, you know. All right, let's begin with Daily Times. Daily Times here is where we start from. It says, Buhari's Christmas gift. Federal government orders release of Dasuki Sowore. Ex-NSA's lawyer, Ozekome, hailed federal government's decision. And senior lawyer wants El Zakzaki, other political prisoners, released. Okay, that's what you see on Daily Times. And News Direct is where we go next. Malami orders DSS to release Dasuki Sowore, and they stand released. Okay, that's News Direct. Vanguard is the next paper now, and it says, cheers, knocks for federal government as Dasuki Sowore walk free. And it has multiple riders there. Fayemi Ekweremadu, Serap Ozekome hail release order and urge Buhari to obey all other subsisting court orders. PDP, CUPP, knock Buhari, say disobedience of court orders hasn't changed. Sowore's arrest has nothing to do with his journalism practice. The presidency is saying this in their own explanation. All right, from the Vanguard, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says family welcomes Dasuki after 4 years in detention. And lawyers speak on ex-NSA's long incarceration. And Sowore regains freedom too. Okay, these are some of the biggest stories in Nigeria from yesterday, apart from Christmas that is in the air. Well, gentlemen, knocks and kudos to the president at the same, to the presidency at the same time, or let me say the government at the same time, from all quarters, depending on how people see or analyze the situation. Dasuki has been in detention for 4 years, and Nigerians have been saying, since the court has said, release him on bail and follow due process and all of that. Now he's, the president or the government has given this as a Christmas gift. Let me start with you, Dari, on this one. How does this come to you?
I'm particularly impressed with the release of Sambo Dasuki. He's been there for 4 long years. It was beginning to look like there is more to it. And if anything, his incarceration has not been good publicity for this administration. Yes, he may have questions to answer, but obviously, whatever his offenses are available, he's supposed to have his days in court. And if he would
That is the due process.
That's the due process, and it doesn't have to be held in captivity. Because if he has not been pronounced guilty and sentenced to a particular number of years or whatever in jail or in prison, that's captivity. He's been held against his wish and against the laws of the land. He has not,
and especially against the court order.
Then I was going to go up to that. Then came court orders saying, let him go home. Not one, not two. And then we held on to him, giving both a local and global impression that here in Nigeria, we are not under any compulsion to obey our own laws. And in the case of Dasuki, it's quite, it is not as if he was released on bail and he broke any of the terms,
the conditions,
but he was just held continuously like that. But releasing him now, well, I've read a lot of things and heard a lot of things, but I think it still shows that we can get through to Mr. President somehow.
Okay. All right.
Somehow.
Okay. Razak, a lot of commendations on this, on the other side, has come to the federal government by saying, okay, government, this is a government that obeys rule of law and obeys, you know, we hear all those comments now. Just a week ago, there were knocks on the president, even from outside the country, on the fact that Nigeria disobeys and does not obey rulings and stands for the rule of law and all of that. All that has changed overnight?
Well, when your debt is paid, some people will say that the denomination you pay my currency back is not what I expected from you.
Okay.
And you will say, my money is my money. But some people will thank you for having it in mind to pay it.
Okay.
That people don't get firing squad for not paying debt. So when this kind of thing happen, that's what is expected. But me, I queue behind people who have been commending the federal government. The Dasuki's case is beginning to lose the whole essence of why he was there in the first instance, because we were talking about fight against corruption. And we were happy that Dasuki was arrested and fined guilty, put him life imprisonment, or give him a day sentence, or let him go. Yeah. That is the most appropriate thing for the government to have done, such that the consequence we are talking about, people who steal public office money will look at Dasuki's case and say, oh, okay, I won't touch public office money. So the whole essence of that scenario is being ruptured by his long incarceration. You take him to court. So the case is getting delayed unnecessarily. And I will advise the federal government not to fall into such trap again, such that for people like us who felt that the terrain now is that you are fighting corruption. But people who have that this is not to fight corruption. Okay. Their views are legitimate. They are correct to say that this is not corruption fight. This is getting back to Dasuki for whatever reason it might have been. That's one. Then on Sowore's case too, the security agents in this country needs a lot of orientation. This is democratic era. We ourselves need a lot of orientation as activists. I will not encourage any of my friends to resist arrest. That's for Sowore. Yeah. Next time you are being arrested, dead body don't go to court. So if you are arrested, challenge the wrong arrest in court, not to resist it. A road safety officer is stopping you. They will go after you. That's what they are trained for. A last month officer asks you to stop, flag you down, you are running. They will run after you. So that impression we have to change. That's for sure. Therefore, the security agents, there's a need to begin to know how to follow procedures. If Sowore has flouted the bail condition, you go back to court. You don't do what you do. The reason why you are there is to secure us. And anytime you secure us, we must be thanking you for what you are doing. You are saying Sowore is trying to create crisis in the country. Prove it to us. That's what he's trying to do. Then we thank you for doing that. But for doing what you have done, the assumption is that as an activist, this can happen to me too. Because I have been leading protests and I will continue to lead protests, and I don't see what Sowore has done that said that I have not said. What we are saying is that if there's something else that he has done, let us know. Yeah. So that
and charge him for that. If he goes contrary to
yes, because goes contrary to that. So there's that balancing.
All right.
The other side, you should be more careful when agitation. Then the security agent should learn to recognize that this is democratic era, and the rest of the world are watching us. Right. They are forming impression based on what they do.
Okay, Dari, there were lots of pressure from outside Nigeria. There has been comments from senators in the United States, members of Congress who have, sent messages formally and informally to Nigeria saying you need to obey the rule of law, court orders, and all of that. The new U.S. ambassador to Nigeria met with the president, and he also resonated some of those messages. Do you think these are some of the things that led to this Christmas gift, as it is put?
I said it. That's head or tail. Whichever angle of the debates one wants to stand. I want to give it to Mr. President that this development is a sign that at least we have a listening president. It means we can still get through to him. It may appear difficult, but by releasing Sowore and Sambo after the hues and cries, it shows we are getting across him. So the global inputs too, we cannot rule them out. But be that as it may, I am glad Sowore is going home again. This is not the first time he's going home again. But he also must learn to obey the terms and conditions. Yes, the presidency, the government should obey the rule of law. We, as individuals too, there are rights and obligations. With every right comes obligation. He has been released on bail. He has cases to answer. Then one of the conditions, as read again by the AGF, is stop speaking to the press. it is one of the times for being released. But I saw a video clip this morning again. He came out of the car, addressed the media. I think we should also impress it. We've seen people released on bail with such conditions in America. I've seen it. And you see them, they come out, they fold their hands in their back, and they just walk through the reporters, or raise their hand and just greet.
But in that clip, he was telling journalists that there will be a time for me to address the media. So
Yes.
how does that fall into?
For now, he has not said anything out of the place. Right. But that's our own interpretation.
Okay.
How will the court or the DSS
interpret
don't talk to the media?
Okay.
You see, we can run away from what he said.
Exactly. This
is the clip.
This clip now, yeah.
This is a clip. You understand? So
although he thanked Nigerians and said Nigerians made it happen, and he was wishing Nigerians a Merry Christmas and all of that. But just like you said, it depends on how the DSS interprets
this thing. And then we will now say the DSS is uncanny. The DSS, we can avoid it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We really can.
Razak, I wonder how
the content of what he has said
is
what the court has cautioned against.
Okay.
That there should be nothing inciting.
Right.
There should be.
But he said we will not relent. He used that statement, that line.
Begin to look at it.
So now, if we want to address illegality, we must not respond with another form of illegality.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that we must admit that this is democratic era. This government is government that is voted in by the people. During the military era, such conditions were given to us, but because we don't recognize the military, we always come out and say that I don't. Even the court will say we don't recognize the court.
Exactly.
So I think that is the impression we still have, and that is the orientation we still have. So we have to rework that our orientation. That we must admit that court processes must be obeyed by the honored by the courts, by the government, by the security agent, and by the individual that is taken to go by the government.
Okay. Razak Olokoba, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Dario Odufo-Okon, thank you so much for coming as well. It's all right. You're watching
Dailies, the stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers, and I have with me in the studio Dario Odufo-Okon and the public affairs analyst Razak Olokoba. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program.
Good
and
morning.
Compliments of the season.
Yes, Merry Christmas, our viewers at home.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. So we're going to be starting with the Daily Times newspaper. And the Daily Times newspaper is starting with a Christmas gift. Buhari's Christmas gift. FG orders release of Dasuki Sowore, ex-NSA lawyer Ozekome Hill. FG's decision. Senior lawyer wants El Zakzaki and other political prisoners released. Seems that they're asking for more from the federal government. Now on the News Direct, Balami orders the DSS to release Dasuki Sowore. Malami orders the DSS to release Dasuki and Sowore. That's what you have on the News Direct. And on the Vanguard newspaper, cheers and knocks for FG as Dasuki Sowore walk free. Fayemi Ekweremadu Serap Ozekome Hill release order. Urge Buhari to obey all other subsisting court orders. PDP, CUPP knock Buhari say disobedience of court orders hasn't changed. Now, Sowore's arrest has nothing to do with his journalism practice, says the presidency. That's what you find on the Vanguard newspaper. On Daily Trust, you have family welcomes Dasuki after 4 years in detention, and lawyers speak on ex-NSA's long incarceration. Sowore regains freedom too. On the Daily Sun, very quickly, we have Christmas gift for Dasuki Sowore. Ex-NSA breeds air freedom 4 years after. Revolution Now convener also. That's what you find on the Daily Sun newspaper. And on The Guardian, you have why Buhari made a U-turn, released Dasuki and Sowore. That's what you have on The Guardian newspaper. And the last paper for this morning, The Nation newspaper, we have soldier killed, a different headline, soldier killed as gunmen attack Jonathan's residence. 3 others die, military vows to track attackers. APC, PDP, IYC seek probe of that attack. That happened yesterday at the former president's house. So we're going to be looking at this morning, the Christmas gift. It's Christmas Day, and it seems that Sowore's family and his supporters, Dasuki's family, will be having their family, their breadwinners home for Christmas. Laudable efforts, you would say, from the president. Let me start with you, Adari.
Yeah, we said that before. It's a good one. A very good one. It's quite considerate, and the timing is novel. Whatever anybody wants to say, Christmas is a time to give. It's a time to show compassion. It's a time to forgive. I want to see, although both Sowore and Dasuki would obviously have their days in court, their release is not total. They've been released on bail, so they can go home and go and be answering charges from home. But the ground for their release is not new. The order has been obeyed by the government now. Were not issued yesterday or day before yesterday. These are court orders that have been there all the while, either ignored or disobeyed flagrantly. But now, probably I'm reading headlines like why Buhari made U-turn, why Buhari released Sowore, those will be permutations. There will be permutations. People want to give reasons. But I see largely that the government felt the pressure is much over these two detentions. The president, the AGF ordered for the files last week. He went through it. And now we are hearing that the government ordered their release. It simply shows that in the spirit of the season, let's allow these gentlemen to go spend the season with their family. It's a good thing. I only expect the beneficiaries of this compassion, both Dasuki and Sowore, to reciprocate, not to the government, but to Nigerians, by adhering strictly to the terms
Of the bail
and
conditions.
conditions of their bail,
Now,
so that the peace we seek, because the major intention here, if I understand the government very well, is to ensure peace and at least justice. Their own actions will either make or mar this peace. So they should stick to the terms, and everybody will be happy in the long run.
Razak, if I would ask you, do you agree with him seeing that the federal government's release of these persons is belated and it's a kind of face-saving gesture?
I didn't say that.
Yes.
No, but if you look at it,
what he's saying is that appropriate time is important. Procrastination doesn't help the image of the government. So if eventually it will be released without new information, that's Sowore for now. To people like us, we were shocked because I was saying that if there are classified information that Sowore is being held based on that, if it was not because he flouted the bail condition, if there are other things, such information should be declassified. We are Nigerians. This is not the first time it's going to happen, where classified information in the past, for the purpose of clarification, they declassify it. So if there's no new thing and it's just been released now, it's been held too long. And this is a moment of lessons to be learned, that henceforth, federal government will learn the lessons that appropriate actions must be done at the appropriate time. If he's been given bail, respect the court and grant him bail, let him go home and start preparing for his the charges. The same thing for Dasuki. Dasuki, I was happy that I was arrested. I was happy that he's been taken to court. That has been granted, it's a billable offense, let him go. That does not mean that he's been exonerated. It's just a bill that go and prepare, and that we made the law that this crime is bailable and has applied for it, and they are guaranteed that it's not going to run away. There are sureties. So that's lesson for federal government. On the side of the Dasuki, consequences of such nature will make people who are in public office to run away from what is assumed that Dasuki have done. I want consequence. We have documented all the people that have stolen our money. I'm not saying Dasuki is one of them. But we have on record that people have stolen our money and that there must be consequence. If there are no consequence, people will keep doing it. So the impression and perception that people want to have about the case, existing case, will have been totally destroyed if Dasuki was not released. So now we are back on track. So we want to know how much has been ascribed that Dasuki is in his possession, how he has spent it, if he's going to be given life imprisonment, if he's going to be freed, if he's going to be given one day. We are interested in the case. And as for Sowore too, just like what my friend has said, that there are things that we should realize now during democratic dispensation, that during the military era that we take for granted. We don't recognize the military era. It's an aberration, it's illegal, and it's illegitimate. So any condition they gave me if they release me, I will not honor it during the military era. So that was military era. This is a democratic era. And henceforth, I will encourage all our comrades not to resist arrest again. See, it's because we are living, that's why we are talking about court case. So henceforth, if anybody is arrested, either legitimately or illegitimately, willingly, volunteer yourself for the arrest. Surrender yourself for the arrest. And challenge it. He has been arrested now, he has challenged it.
But so it's not because sometimes they do not trust the justice process?
Well, we still have to go through the justice process. If we don't trust the system and we abandon the system, we won't find justice elsewhere. What will create is chaos. The society will just be upside down. It is the same system that we tend not to trust. Now the same justice system has told Sowore to go home. Will he refuse to go home because he is not trusting that system? You understand where the hypocrisy is. When we are afraid that it may not favor us, we announce to the whole world that we don't trust the system. We will not respect the system. When it turns out that it favors us, we will not turn down the favor.
Then we praise the system.
We don't even get to praise the system. We just accept the favor. It's just like a politician who says, I don't have confidence in INEC. I've had that times with that number. Before the election, they go about and say, INEC is compromised. Then he wins the election. I expect him to turn down the victory. That no, this victory is fake. I didn't win because INEC. But they don't say nothing again. We do
look forward to that day where politicians will be able to disregard INEC's position on the election. Dario Dufoco, thank you so much for your thoughts. And Razak Olokoba, thank you so much for your thoughts and compliments of the season. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Let's now see what the headlines are this morning. I have with me in the studio Dario Dufoco, a journalist, and Razak Olokoba, public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Good to see you. Good morning, Mike.
Thank you. Really nice to see you.
Christmas.
Very good. Now let's start from Daily Times. Daily Times newspaper is where we start from now. Buhari's Christmas gift. Federal government orders release of Dasuki Sowore and ex-NSA's lawyer Ozekome hail federal government's decision. And senior lawyer wants El Zakzaki, other political prisoners released. Okay, that's what you see on Daily Times. News Direct says Malami orders DSS to release Dasuki Sowore, and Malami is the Minister of Justice. Right. Vanguard is next, and it says cheers knocks for federal government as Dasuki Sowore walk free, and Fayemi Ekweremadu Serap Ozekome hail release order, urge Buhari to obey all other subsisting court orders. PDP, CUPP knock Buhari, say disobedience of court orders hasn't changed. Sowore's arrest has nothing to do with his journalism practice, as the presidency is saying this. Now from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says family welcomes Dasuki after 4 years in detention. Lawyers speak on ex-NSA's long incarceration. Sowore regains freedom too. Okay, that's Daily Trust. From there, let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Federal government releases Dasuki Sowore may challenge bill, and ex-NSA gets reprieve after 4 years. Sahara Reporters publisher after 5 months, and release others. Abaribe, it tells federal government. Okay, that's the Blueprint newspaper. Daily Sun is where we go next. Christmas gift for Dasuki Sowore as ex-NSA breathes air of freedom 4 years after. Revolution Now convener also. All those are on the Daily Sun. The Guardian is next. Why Buhari made U-turn, released Dasuki Sowore. Decision forced, damage control, say lawyers. And Huriwa wants Malami stripped of SAN. Can ACF Hill move, demand others freedom as well. These are all stories you see on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Now, the Nation newspaper is the last one for this morning now, and it's talking about something else that is really of great concern. Soldier killed as gunmen attack Jonathan's residence. 3 others died. Military vows to track attackers. APC, PDP, and IYC seek probe to this. All right, gentlemen, I'd like us to talk about this a little bit. It was about 3 a.m. on Tuesday where it was said that gunmen attacked or tried to attack the residence of former President Goodluck Jonathan. And a lot of Nigerians are taken aback. Where is this coming from? What do they stand to? Or who are they and all of that? Even though investigations are ongoing as to how to ascertain what the cause of it, who they are, where they're coming from, and for what reason they might want to attack the former President Goodluck Jonathan. Razak, you want to start on this?
It's important to pay sufficient attention to it. It's not good for a country to be insecure. But when it gets to a point where the former president is being targeted, it's gotten to a point where we must pay proper attention to it. Yeah. What it means is that the people who coordinate the affairs of the Nigerian stability is about to be ruptured, because discussions around the security of the country, Jonathan will be invited frequently, if not periodically. So what it means is that even the institution itself is no longer in place. That security institution, which Jonathan is part of, because it's part of that institution. So it portends a lot of danger. We have to investigate if it is a natural theft, that something has been targeted in the area. That should give consolation to us. But if he is the target, it calls for concern, because
although there
could be no political reason why you say, is it the Bayelsa election? Is it that you want to dislodge the leadership?
Although a statement from the presidential former president spokesman, former President Jonathan's spokesman, said that they attempted to steal a gunboat that was around.
That might be a decoy. That might be a decoy.
Okay.
Just like what you have said, we have to investigate it very well, because assassination at times, people take attention away from
just to distract
attention. So it might be so. So if it is just a theft to steal that gunboat, that's a consolation. But after investigation, we will know what it is, but we have to pay attention to it.
All right. Now, Dari, this draws attention to the issue of security, actually. It's not even necessarily about former President Goodluck Jonathan yet. It's about Nigerians generally.
The architecture of our security.
Exactly. But Nigerians have been very concerned when you hear that a military barracks or a police barracks have been attacked either by robbers or by terrorists or by anybody. You know, there are certain places where when there is an attack, there's more panic than other places. The home of former president.
This is one of it, because it's expected to be
well secured.
And secured. But I actually want to be relaxed about this, especially after the statement from the office of the former president said the target was a gunboat. Before that statement, security sources also told we journalists that it was not an attack on the life of the president, former president, because he was not present.
Yes, he wasn't at home
at
the time.
In the house then, not even in town. Okay. Was out of location. And his whereabouts as at that time were well publicized. He was busy attending moving from one event to the other, which were being publicized. So whoever the attackers or assailants are knew he was not at home. Right. So that confirms the fact that they were not after him, at least not his person. Now, if they were after a gunboat, that should give us more reason to be worried. What would people want to own military gunboats for? In the creeks, where we understand the issues of insurgency, piracy, militancy. A gunboat is not a toy or a plaything. It is an instrument of warfare. So if the people gathered together and decided that we are going to steal or commandeer a gunboat, they are not planning to do that for a joke.
Bank robbery.
There is another plan beyond
A
just
sinister
taking
motive.
it. So we should be worried. Are we about to witness a resurgence of the insurgency in that region? Of late, there have been complaints and threats to return to the creeks, to return to the line of fire. Is this an indication that some people somewhere are about to make good those threats? Why would they want to own a gunboat? We should be worried. It's cause for question that we should begin to look into our security apparatus once again. The soldiers guarding the place reacted well, but lost one of their own men and learned that 3 of the attackers were gunned down. So if they were not there, the gunboat will be taken away. A military hardware will be in the hands of wrong people in a region as volatile as the Niger Delta. Which, for every intent and purposes, we should be very, very worried about this development.
Oh, okay. Now, we've also heard some other analysts commend the military for successfully repelling that attack, in as much as one of them had to pay the supreme price. When it comes to the capability of the Nigerian military, this is where a lot of people say it has never been in doubt.
Yes. Our police, the military has gotten many awards out of the shore of this country. And in guerrilla warfare, from what we have learned, even as young as we were teenagers, that one of the best military in the world for grand war, guerrilla warfare, is Nigerian army. So I will commend them for that, and I think the head of army should not allow that to go unrewarded. Now, this is not the first time Jonathan's house will be attacked. It has been attacked previously, and that's why I don't want us to take our attention away completely from the Jonathan factor himself.
Okay.
Because it may be a message. What Daria has said is a scenario that should not be abandoned, because it's not for a bank robbery. Gunboat is not for bank robbery. Gunboat is meant for protecting the war.
Exactly.
It's when you want to engage in war, when you want to engage in internal, a gargantuan internal strife, which is what is happening.
It can be likened to an armored tank.
Yeah, armored tank. So we don't have to joke about that intelligence report. But at times, the army at times, intelligence at times, may want to demystify the gravity of issue, and so that we won't talk about attention, so that in order not to create a panic.
So it doesn't put pressure on them.
The image of Nigeria already about terrorism is increasing. So if it is added to the list that a former president is attacked, that will shoot us up again the ladder.
Oh, okay. I see the implication now.
Yes,
these are fallouts of that.
But head of tail,
Okay.
we should put enough
Beam
interest
searchlight
into
on
this development. It's something we should probe and come up with
All right.
meaningful way forward.
Okay, Daro Falcon, thank you so much for your insight into this. Razak Olokoba,
It's a
thank you
pleasure
very
being
much.
with you.
Thank you. Right.